I call Calvin Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, if this bill, the Education Amendment Bill number 2, represents, in my opinion, why we do have the tail of underachievement that the Minister often talks about. She talks often about the 1 in 5 children who aren't or who fail at school. And if I look at this Education Amendment Bill and the 5 general areas around it, in my opinion, 4 of those areas would fail to achieve anything or fail to raise achievement in any way. And it's my ongoing concern that we have education amendment bills that actually don't focus on the core purpose of the education system, that is, to make sure that children learn. Now, one of the areas in this bill, the tertiary secondary programs, I believe that has real merit, and I actually do want to commend the Minister on actually taking a gamble on this. There's no evidence that this is actually going to make a difference to raising student achievement, but I think it's something that should be explored and should be looked at. It should have researchers following along so that in time we can see whether or not the tertiary secondary programs actually do make a difference. And then if they don't, then we actually need to have the courage to do away with them. And there's a very simple way that we can check whether or not they are making a difference. And if we refer back to educational research such as that from Professor John Hattie, where he talks about the effect size of educational initiatives. And if a program has an effect size of greater than 0.4, then it's actually making a difference to student learning. Now, just about every initiative or strategy that a teacher uses in a class, they can say works to some effect or another. But it is the strategies and the innovations that work the most that we really need to encourage. And so, as I say, if over time research goes to show that tertiary secondary programs don't have an effect size of over 0.4, then I think that we need to have the courage to try something else. But I do think that this is a good start. I believe that we could actually go further in terms of the tertiary secondary programs, because what they do is they actually change the context of a student's learning. Instead of just being stuck in the 4 rooms of a classroom, of a traditional classroom, or in this traditional school setting, where a student is bound by the rules of a school. They have to wear their uniform, pull their socks up, tuck their shirts, and those sorts of things. They actually have the opportunity to move actually into the setting, an educational setting where they're treated treated more like adults. In fact, it's interesting to note, a teacher that I used to work with often commented to me that while a child is at a school in the compulsory learning sector, they actually should be called pupils. It's only when they go into a tertiary setting that they should be called students. And I think that what we have here is pupils moving from the old traditional school setting into a more adult setting, and I think that's a really good change of context, and it in itself could be a motivating factor. However, tertiary secondary situations won't make a difference if the teachers or the lecturers who are in front of the students actually aren't expert practitioners, and that is really the crux of what we have to always consider whenever we're talking about educational legislation, that the people in front of the students are highly skilled practitioners. So, Mr. Chair, I believe that we need to keep focusing on what it is that is going to make students learn and make all students, that is 100% of our students in schools, achieve beyond their potential. And of course it comes down to the expertise in front of them and whether the strategies that teachers are using actually have an effect size above 0.40. Because as I said, an effect size between 0.40 and down to 0 actually are in the bottom half of strategies that make kids learn. And there are some strategies that would have an effect size of 0.01, which means there's a tiny improvement in their achievement, and the teacher who's using that strategy could actually put their hand on their heart, Mr. Chair.
Call the Minister, Honourable Anne Tolley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry I was not quick enough to my feet at the conclusion of the Honourable Trevor Mallard's speech, and I wanted to acknowledge his assistance, in particular with the SOP around the Teachers' Council amendments, and explain to him that whilst we did discuss name suppression, and I am keen to promote that on behalf of the Teachers' Council, we do believe that at this time to go ahead with that, those changes would be out of step with work that my colleague, the Honourable Simon Power, is also doing around name suppression in the criminal law system. And of course he has a bill that has gone off to the Select Committee, so the proposal is that we wait for that to come back and ensure that whatever we do is in step with that. So whilst we will be voting against the amendment today, we're certainly in support of doing something as soon as we possibly can. The second issue is around the proposal to increase the maximum fine, and I'm advised that this would be totally out of step with other provisions. For instance, the Health Practitioners Competence Assurance Act has a maximum fine of $10,000 for a breach of a similar order. So we do need to make sure that we are in step with other pieces of legislation. And just finally to Mr Davis, he's absolutely right, but unfortunately you can't legislate for quality teaching. That we know that makes the most significant difference in school to children's learning. The way you do that is in the support that you put behind your teaching force with things like professional development, the resources, the tools and techniques, and the support that you put in behind your teachers. So unfortunately you can't legislate. Legislation changes the structure. And you're right, with our trades academies we are attempting to change structure to create new opportunities, and of course we will be evaluating the effectiveness of those changes.
Call Materia Ture.
I just want to speak on behalf of my